On the morning of November 12, 1966, just before 8 o'clock, 42-year-old Evelyn Cummings pulled into the parking lot of the Rosemar College of Beauty in Mesa, Arizona. Evelyn was the director at Rosemar and arrived to see a few women outside waiting to be let in. Evelyn entered Rosemar and opened the doors for the students and staff. This included 19-year-old Carol Farmer, 18-year-old Mary Margaret Olson, and 18-year-old Glenda Carter. Also walking in was 27-year-old Joyce Sellers, and she was a customer, and with her she had her two children, 3-year-old Deborah and 3.5-month-old Tamara. Evelyn remained in the back office, and about this time 18-year-old cosmetology student Bonita Sue Harris arrived at Rosemar. As she walked to the side entrance, she passed by 18-year-old Mesa High School senior Robert Benjamin Smith. She saw that he was carrying a paper bag and appeared to be looking through the glass into the school. Bonita continued and entered through the side entrance. As she made her way to the front to clock in, she noticed that Smith had followed her inside. Smith reached into the bag and pulled out a gun. He fired it into the air and ordered everybody to go to the back. Evelyn heard the pop sound and saw Smith standing there, with his back to her, holding the gun. She immediately ran out the door to the business next door and told them that there was a man with a gun and to call police. After he fired the shot, someone asked, "Are you kidding?" Smith then put the gun to Bonita's head and said, "No, I'm not kidding." Everyone was led to the back of the college, which was the demonstration room. Occasionally laughing, and with a calm demeanor, he forced everyone to lie face down in a circle, with their heads in the middle, like spokes on a wheel. Smith told everyone to remain still and keep quiet. Mary Olson asked Smith which one of them was going to die, or if all of them were going to die. He said all of them were going to die, and that he hadn't planned to kill any children, but would because they were there, and because they'll grow up too. Some of them began crying. Mary then asked, "Are you serious?" And he said yes. She then began to pray. Smith then asked, "What is she doing?" Carol Farmer responded, "Praying, if you don't mind." Smith said, "Yeah, I do mind." And he began firing. He aimed at everyone's head, shooting everyone twice, and having reloaded 3 times. At this time, Evelyn Cummings had heard the shots and was outside, preventing other students and customers from entering Rosemar, saving lives. Police arrived quickly and entered Rosemar. They found Robert Smith standing near the entrance, the gun in a paper bag on a chair. He told Officer Gary Johnson, "I just shot some people. They're back there. The gun is in the bag." In the back, they found a gruesome scene. Everyone face down in a circle, their heads covered in blood. The eerie silence came to an end with the sound of a crying baby. Ambulances quickly arrived and took the victims to the hospital. With Smith in custody, and while the bodies were being taken out, police asked Smith to reconstruct what had just occurred, which he did. "I wanted to get known, get myself a name," he said. Joyce Sellers had died from 2 gunshot wounds to the head. Her daughter Deborah had been shot in the head. Smith would later tell police he stabbed her a couple of times when she kept jumping around after she was shot. Mary Margaret Olson died 45 minutes after being shot in the head and right arm. Carol Farmer died of her wounds 50 minutes after arriving at the hospital, and Glenda Carter also died at the hospital 90 minutes after being shot twice in the head. Tamara Lynn Sellers survived after being shot in the arm because her mother Joyce shielded her at the last second, saving her life. Bonita Sue Harris survived despite being shot in the head and the arm. Robert Benjamin Smith was arraigned 5 hours after the murders on 5 counts of murder and 2 counts of assault with intent to commit murder. The shootings made headlines across the country. Those curious came out to Rosemar to see what they could. Detectives analyzed the crime scene. and were able to get a lot of information from Bonita Sue Harris. Smith told police he did it because he wanted to get known, get himself a name. He said he'd been planning it for 3 months. He studied and was motivated by what happened in Chicago and in Texas earlier that year. He wanted to shoot as many people as he could, even if his mother and 4-year-old sister would have walked in Rosemar, he would have shot them too, he later told a psychologist. Smith's father said he woke up that morning and found that Robert wasn't in his room, and he began looking for him. He even checked at the school. Later, he went to the police station to report him missing, and when he was told that Robert was already in custody, his reply was, "I was afraid of that." Smith was described as a loner, a handsome kid no one knew. He was quiet and didn't have any friends. He kept to himself, wasn't sociable, and not known to date. The gun he used in the murders was a gift from his parents 3 months prior. His Mesa High School principal said he was a straight-A student in the subjects he'd liked, English and literature, but not good in subjects he didn't like math and science. A teacher of his said he daydreamed a lot, and students who knew him said he idolized Napoleon and Jesse James. His father was an Air Force major, and his family moved several times. At his home in Mesa, he lived with his mom and dad and his little sister, who was around 4 years old when the murders took place. Reporters showed up at Smith's home to speak with the father, who declined to make any statements, as per his son's lawyer instructed him. Smith's attorney made a statement on behalf of the family, expressing their grief over the terrible tragedy wrought upon mankind by their disturbed boy. He said they extend their heartfelt sympathy to relatives and friends of the victims. Smith had picked a school, Rosemar, and another beauty shop to commit the murders. He wanted to kill as many people as he could. He originally brought some plastic bags and intended on suffocating his victims. He brought bags, nylon rope, and a hunting knife also. He decided to use his gun when he realized the bags were not big enough to fit around someone's head. The night before the murders, Smith helped his sister write a letter to Santa. At 6:30 the next morning, he got up and got ready. He walked 1.5 miles to Rosemar. Smith pled not guilty by reason of insanity. The prosecution produced letters written by Smith that indicated he was trying to fake insanity. One note said, "I'm trying for that state mental hospital." Bonita Sue Harris, who was now married at this point, and known as Bonita Sue Harris Cantaloupe, testified that she played dead after Smith shot her in the head and arm. She told the court how Smith laughed during the murders. On October 24, 1967, Smith was found guilty of 5 counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to death. In 1971, the Arizona Supreme Court awarded Smith a new trial. They ruled that the prosecution illegally obtained evidence in the first trial. In 1972, Smith pled guilty to the murders in a move to escape the death penalty. But then, the U.S. Supreme Court outlawed capital punishment. In the end, he received life imprisonment, plus 2 consecutive prison terms of 75 to 99 years for 2 counts of attempted murder. He spent the rest of his life in prison and died on April 21, 2024, in the Abrazo West Campus Hospital in Goodyear, Arizona. He was 76. Mary Margaret Olson moved to Arizona with her family in 1957. While she attended Mesa High School, she was a cheerleader and a member of the school choir. While at Mesa High, she got a scholarship to Rosemar. She was a day student at Rosemar and a night student at Mesa Junior College. She planned to marry Joyce Sellers' brother-in-law, 19-year-old Dean Sellers. They were supposed to be married at the Mesa Mormon Chapel. Instead, her funeral was there. More than 1,000 people attended. Mary Margaret Olson's father said of Smith, "We feel that he will suffer more than anybody can inflict on him. We have no feelings except that our families feel sorry for his family." Shortly before her death, on her bedroom blackboard, she had written, "I love everybody." Those who knew her said her love of others and of life was the attribute that will be longest remembered about her. She was survived by her mother and father and 2 brothers. Mary Margaret Olson is buried at the City of Mesa Cemetery in Mesa, Arizona. Glenda Sue Carter was a native of Coolidge, Arizona. She graduated from Hayden High School while living with a sister of hers in Winkleman, Arizona. She came to Mesa to enroll at Rosemar, and she rented a room and had a roommate who said of Glenda, "She was a real fun girl, always doing things." At the time of her death, she was the Rosemar College of Beauty Student of the Month. Because of this, there was a photo of her on the front wall of the school with a poem she selected herself called A Smile. It closed with the lines, "So smile for your friends, make them smile too. Be happy yourself, and God be with you." She was 18 at the time of her death, and she was preceded in death by her parents. Glenda Sue Carter is buried at the Valley Memorial Park Cemetery in Coolidge, Arizona. Carol Farmer was 19 at the time of her death. She was a native of Mesa, Arizona. She had been a graduate of John Marshall High School in San Antonio, Texas in 1965, and that same year she married Air Force Airman Terry Farmer. He was stationed in Alaska, and she lived with her parents at Williams Air Force Base when she was killed. Services for her were held at the Williams Air Force Base Chapel. Carol Pope Farmer is buried at the Green Acres Memorial Park Cemetery in Scottsdale, Arizona. She was survived by her husband Terry and her parents. Joyce Faye Sellers graduated high school in Cannon City, Colorado in 1956. She went to college at BYU and married Robert Sellers in 1959. In 1962, they moved to Arizona, and Robert owned a 7-unit motel near Arizona State University. Joyce was active in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the day before her death, they all had attended an open house at Williams Air Force Base. Joyce had an appointment at Rosemar that same day, but rescheduled to Saturday because she was tired. She usually left her daughters, Deborah and Tamara, with their parents, but that Saturday morning, they were at church for a play practice, so she brought them with her. Joyce Faye Luth Sellers and her daughter, Debbie LaRae Sellers, are buried at the City of Mesa Cemetery in Mesa, Arizona. The Rosemar College Massacre has been mentioned as being one of the first copycat crimes. Mesa now has a population of around 500,000, but in 1966 the population was 50,000. Everyone knew the victims. Bonita Sue testified courageously against Smith. She is a tough, resilient, brave woman who spoke for those whose voices were violently silenced that November morning. Those who lost their lives displayed unbelievable bravery and grace in their final moments. Joyce Sellers, not knowing when the shot would be fired, had the awareness and speed to shield her baby the moment the shot was fired, saving her life, yet losing her own. Mary Margaret showed the ultimate faith in God when she began praying. Carol Farmer was bold and showed fearlessness when she responded to Smith saying, "She's praying, if you don't mind." Glenda Sue Carter showed a brave acceptance of the unknown in those final moments and faith in God, and I choose to believe that at that moment, her parents were by her side. I've taken away something from every video that I've done, and in this video, I will remember the victims in my mind with sadness, but my heart will remember them with love and a smile. Rest in peace.